Hey everybody, good morning. Welcome to TLDChat. My name is Brent Schlenker. I'm your host. Today and every day at 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Eastern time. Today we've got a fantastic show, fantastic guest for you. But before I get started, I see that Mike has joined. Good to see you in there, Mike. Good morning. Thanks for hanging with us. Give me a few minutes and I'll shoot you an invite to join us live on screen. Let me just kind of let everybody know what's going on and actually probably give people a chance to grab a cup of coffee and get to their computers this morning. But just for those of you who might be watching the recording of this later on, TLDC, we're a professional group of training and learning and development folks, and we hang out here and talk shop. And what TLDC is basically a way for you to get together and get the work of training done. We are consider ourselves sort of an alternative to the other areas and places for you to hang out within the industry. We want to talk to you more about the work that you're doing and what can we do to help you improve and move your career along. And how we do that, well, first of all, while I've got this website up, TLDC.us is the website. Hit it up and sign up for the occasional newsletter in that field there. And basically, you know, just that just shows us that you're interested in what we're doing and you support us. We will never give your email away and promise not to flood your inbox, but only send you the important notifications and information about what is going on in our industry and with TLDC. And with that, my mouse is not behaving. Hello, everybody. Good morning. Let me just show you one more thing. So this is, we have an interesting guest today, but first let me explain to you why I have asked filmmaker Mike Chesworth to be with us today. And I can probably best explain it through these are the what we call the rings of focus. And I by no means take any sort of credit for inventing this. I guarantee you this was already out on the internet. Somebody else, some other professional guru of some sort, self-help, something or other, came up with this exact thing or something better. But this is how I organized TLDC 16, the event we had in San Diego last year. And it was just kind of how I broke it down and how I thought about it. And it turned out to be a pretty useful thing. So we made a graphic out of it. And we've also decided to segment TLDChat into this sort of same category. So on Monday mornings, we talk about you, the target right there in the center. And we figure, you know, if you can't get your own stuff together, you're probably not going to be able to do well in your projects, teams, organization, and within the industry. So we get that right first. We work on that, and then we can figure out. So on Mondays, we talk about you. Tuesdays, we talk about our projects. We talk about project management. We talk about the tools that we use to create e-learning, online learning projects. Wednesdays, we talk about the team, right? What does it mean to build a training team, to manage a training team? And how do you function well within a training team? And then on Thursdays, we'll combine organization and industry into that day where we talk about how is it that you work within your company? How do you work with your IT department? How do you work with filmmakers? How do you work with consultants? How do you work with those folks that are both in your company, but in a different organization or outside of your company, and you need to get the work of training done. So that's why we're here. That's why we're talking about the things that we talk about. And of course, on Friday, and Mike might be interested in this as well, we do Video Friday is our favorite day, our most watched day, where we just talk tips and tricks on how to create cool video. We're not quite as pro as Mike is and some of the other folks in our industry, but that's why we do it every Friday, to try to help folks understand video in general and how we can apply it into our trade, our craft, our professional industry of learning and development. Hey, Tom, welcome to the chat. So with that, let's just jump into today. Unless anybody that happens to be watching, we got a few folks jumping in. If you've got any news for me, I didn't hear of any news in the industry that needed to be shared. I'll give you guys just a few seconds here to think that through and see if there's any e-learning live industry news or whatnot. But we'll just move forward. We'll maybe save the news for the end if somebody comes up with something. I didn't hear of any mergers, acquisitions, anything crazy like that going on. So I think we are good to go. And I don't think there are any new events coming up yet for a few weeks as well. So I think we're golden on the news front. And with that, let me go ahead and get Mike in here and also just introduce him briefly. I'll send the invite, and while we're getting him connected, I can tell you guys a little bit about it. So we're talking about you today, and Mike and I worked together briefly at IO Data Centers a few years back. And when I heard that he was doing this particular crowdsourcing of his vacation, we'll call it, it was a fantastic opportunity to reconnect and ask him to hang out with us and tell us about his experience. But the reason why I think his experience is important for us to learn from, right? It may not directly apply to some of our design work that we do and for our corporate clients, but for ourselves, when we're thinking about what makes a great learning experience and how can you refresh and rejuvenate yourself and do something different and energize yourself and the things that you do. I just thought this was a fantastic just experience in general. And I think we can learn a lot from it as well. A little bit of the conversation might actually lean more towards a Video Friday sort of topic, but I think that's okay too. Definitely looking forward to hearing about some of the tech and how he pulled this off as well. So on my end, it says accepted and connecting. So sometimes what that means is a data connection that might take a little bit longer for it to connect, or Mike, if it takes a little bit longer, you might want to try. Oh, there he is.
Oh, hey. Hi.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
Good. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, it's coming through pretty good. How about everybody else that's listening? Can you guys hear him okay? Get a quick check. So awesome. So you look good. So, you gave away the punchline of where you're going, but that's okay.
I didn't realize.
No, that's okay. I'm just kidding. But so thanks for hanging out with us this morning. This is cool. I was trying to decide this morning, okay, let's see, do I introduce him and tell a little bit of the story and then let him tell it? Or do I show like the Channel 10 news clip, and intro it that way? What's that?
Can you show it on this?
I think so, yeah.
That's cool.
Or let me see if I can pop it up here. And maybe that'll be a good way to do it. And then you can kind of elaborate as we as it goes through.
Sure.
Screen share application. The beauty of tech.
And live TV.
And live TV, right? Yeah, fantastic. All right, I'll pick that one. I'll go share. And let's see how this works. I think there might be a little bit of audio lag, but people will get the gist. Oh, I'll start it over from the beginning. What the heck?
All right.
This will never fly with you.
Never. But I commend people that can have this sort of spontaneity in their life and allow to let others control their destiny.
Right, in like a big way too, because a vacation is a very important deal. So
yeah,
when you plan
spend a lot of money, you plan it.
You bet. I mean, I'm sure you plan everything down. It's like
the vacation
no.
I'm taking next week with my family was planned last year at this time. I'm not even kidding.
I totally believe that. Good. Well, you're gonna have a heck of a time. But when you talk about the booking, the flights, the hotel excursions, and all the different things you're going to be doing, it's a lot, right?
It's a lot, yeah. So a Valley man has set out on a big vacation. One that he did not plan, and that you can have a hand in deciding what he does.
Watch this. I'm headed to Bali. I got a flight, but I don't technically have a hotel yet. As soon as I go in there, I was going to ask them to start the big resort, start the big hotel, so that by the time I land, I have a place to stay. And essentially, I'm going to let them dictate every part of the journey for a week. Valley man Mike Chesworth left Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport at 6 this morning. In 27 hours, he'll land in Bali. How do you pick the destination? On Sunday, Mike made his Facebook page public, asked people to help him choose where he should go. And I have this thought that there's so many people out there who don't get to travel and they watch everybody's pictures and stuff pop up on Facebook. So why not give them an opportunity to kind of research and plan? Yesterday, thousands of people watched Mike's Facebook Live post and commented and liked various destinations. In the end, Bali won out. It looks amazing. I've always wanted to go to Bali, so I'm thrilled about it. And then all the different adventures that they pick. It's kind of nice for me because I don't have to plan anything. Mike bought a last-minute ticket to Bali. The ticket was about $1,000. He called some contacts to get an expedited visa, went home and packed, and friends threw him a bon voyage. Mike is in the air right now. After a couple of transfers, he'll land in Bali at 4:10 tomorrow. So what he does and where he goes depends on what people want him to do, and they can weigh in on Facebook. Here's what's incredible. I've been getting calls from people that like their entire offices have been researching and looking up all this thing. Nobody's gotten any work done because everybody's looking about all these things to do in Bali. Yes, I'm going on this trip, but I'm trying to make it so that we're all going and we're all experiencing, because the most fun part about traveling is the researching, looking up, and then experiencing it. And this is allowing them to, even though they may not get to travel, they can research it. They can pick out what they want, and then I'll go experience it and broadcast it live for them. While Mike is game for anything, he did lay down some ground rules. I made 3 rules. Nothing illegal, because I'd like to work after this, and nothing immoral and nothing unkind. Those are 3 good rules in life, too.
Yeah.
Nothing illegal, immoral, or unkind.
You live by that.
You're in pretty good shape. And if you want to follow along on Mike's adventure and suggest things for him to do, or just see what he's doing.
All right.
So everybody knows.
Yeah, it's all Bali now, so you can.
So I ended up going to Bali, and then I ended up going to Australia. And I essentially, because I didn't know any part of the trip, I couldn't pack. So I just bought clothes each day in each location. And then it'd be kind of fun to kind of call out where I am by, getting tourist clothes, if you will.
Yeah. All right. So let's dial it back just a little bit and figure out what the heck made you do it. Like, why? You kind of mentioned it in the news clip, but what was the driver?
First off, I, as an artist, was kind of stuck and needed an adventure myself. And I have so many friends that don't get to travel. I just kind of thought it would be fun. And so then it just kind of got bigger and bigger and bigger. And very quickly I realized that perhaps TV kind of needs to be reinvented, if you will. And so essentially the thought was to create a live TV show and let everybody kind of interact, like a choose your own adventure style. And it very quickly morphed into a show. I mean, I would go to a restaurant and I would take a picture of the menu, and I'd have to wait about an hour as everybody kind of voted on, what I would eat. And then I'd post a video or a picture of me eating it. And then, I'd put out what adventures were available that day. And then, people would, hey, you should go check out this and that. And it just kind of grew and grew and grew. At one point, my Facebook analytics said that 8,000 people were watching and 250 were participating. But I'll tell you when it was amazing. One of the first people I met, and as I would meet people, I would just make them my friend on Facebook and we'd go live. One of the first guys I met, he helps people sell cars on the internet and really is kind of a guru in that way. And 10 days after this, Lexus takes a brand new stock Lexus, goes live and lets everybody vote in the comments and like, hey, what should we do? And like customize the Lexus. And I was like, wow, that's pretty awesome. And then I just found out yesterday that an Australian version of the Today Show is doing an adventure where they're letting everybody vote on where in the United States, and they're just kind of doing the same thing that I just did in Australia here in the US. So awesome. It's starting to be a trend.
It's
my friends. I'm noticing it's becoming kind of a joke. I'm going to let Facebook vote on, and they'll put something up and let everybody decide what they're going to do.
It's become a thing. Yeah, but there should be an app for that, right? It should just be like you should be able to whatever you want to do, let people vote on it.
It's just a different use of live. And I saw a lot of people are using live for marketing and whatnot, but nobody's making a game out of it. Nobody's making a show out of it. And I just kind of feel like if everybody's going to be watching TV on these devices, maybe it makes sense to make programming for those devices, taking advantage of what they can do that other things can't do, and that is interact.
Right. So it's awesome. I'm trying really hard not to like veer off and go, you know what? And that's why mobile devices are great for learning, and because that's my tendency. But I want to talk more about your trip.
Game and have some fun.
Yeah.
You know, the biggest thing is I just wanted people to feel like it was their vacation. I wanted them to feel like they were going with me, and I'll tell you, it was amazing how much that came true. Like every location, people would put like, we're going here. I'm so excited. Like they really took ownership of it. And somebody else made a comment like, were you worried to travel by yourself? And I'm like, no, I had thousands of friends with me. Like I never, ever felt alone.
Yeah. I mean, if something had happened to you and you didn't post after a few hours, people would have been concerned.
Well, and I thought if ever I got in trouble, I could go live and be like, okay, this happened. Somebody rescue me.
Yeah, the federales have me. What do I do now?
You know
Send money.
It's a beautiful and safe country, and I will tell you this now: never, ever, not once during the whole trip did I ever lock my door.
Wow!
I just took the hotel key and just left it on the desk, and like that. That's with my camera, my laptop, and whatever. Never did I feel like any of it was a threat.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So let's clue people in a little bit on kind of what happened. I know, and when we teased it with the news thing, but so what, like, how did it go down? So you went to the airport and you live streamed, and I'm sure you kind of thought that maybe they picked something where there's a flight that's going to be leaving in like a couple hours and you could just jump on right then, but that really didn't happen, did it?
No, and I was prepared for that, and I was kind of grateful because it allowed me to run to Best Buy, and I got that Osmo self-balancing selfie stick, if you will, and I got a new GoPro, and I was able to charge some batteries, and so it made me prepare tech-wise for it. Also, I didn't realize how big a deal it was going to be. I went to the airport and I thought this will be fun for my Facebook friends. Maybe I can get 200 likes. But then when the news was there, I'm like, oh, this just got big. This is going to be
this will be fun.
Right. And I started in news, and I've done so. My instincts kicked in pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I realized what journey I was having. I mean, this was Eat, Pray, Love 2017. and I recognized it, and it was weird to be in it and wow, this, especially when I wasn't sure where I was going to go. Like the night before, when I kind of posted, and I knew I was going to go on an adventure, but I didn't know where in the world I was going to go. And it was just kind of weird to my life is like a movie. And then it's like, I should probably document this.
Yeah.
And so I did. And so every phone call that I had, I filmed it. And I have an enormous amount of adventures that I wasn't able to post just because of time on Facebook. Sure. So I have enough content to make a film festival piece. And just the fact that so many people were interested makes me think that they would be interested in seeing that.
Oh, it would be very cool. I think the most interesting thing to me, and I commend you on having the guts to do this, because I know that when I go out with my camera and I try to get video of other people and I try to get reactions and whatnot, it weirds people out when they see you walking up, kind of holding the camera, pointing it at them and everything. But you did get to video and to chat with some locals.
About this. People are not weirded out by this. Same when I walk up with a camera, when I have my big heavy gear, people change. They'll give you amazing sound bites, and then as soon as you start rolling, they clam up.
Yeah.
So it's an entire theory of filmmaking of what can I do that a big production crew can't. And although they'll come in with lights and the red camera and producers and crew, it changes the nature of people, and it kind of gets away from the whole point of reality, which is actually truthfully happening. And so much reality is faked that I just thought it would be fun to like go in like this, and people were just real. And I think that's what was interesting is like when I went to the market, you know, it was 20 minutes of just kind of letting it roll, and people were watching, and you know, but I wanted them to feel like they were right there beside me.
But in a strange sort of way, I mean, you do kind of want to know, hey, is a market in Bali the same as it is here? I don't know. It'd be really kind of cool to see that. You think it's kind of lame, but people would be interested in that.
Yeah, you just, you know, I just kind of started putting it out, and the biggest intent is I wanted it to feel like people were on an adventure.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, it got bigger than I expected, and it got awesome, and it showed me like there's a real need for this. There's a real need. And you know, since the trip, I've had a lot of time to kind of reflect and think about it. And I really feel like there's plenty of outlets and people and news things talking about facts, and we're even talking about alternative facts. There's protesters and all, like, check mark, that's happening. Maybe there's room in the world for at least one person to go around and remind you to be happy.
Yeah.
Wow. And I really thought about that, and I think that's what I would like to do next is to continue. I have a couple ideas for other adventures that I'm going to do next, and other programming, if you will. But seeing this, I'm back in Phoenix and I'm securing financing, and I'm like, I would like to just go around and remind people to be happy today, the way things are, because you really can pick.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Like Sam said. Well said.
So many people, they get angry about things, and I don't think people realize that life is not unlike a buffet. And you would never go to like a food buffet and fill your plate with the things that you hate and things that you're allergic to. You just skip kind of over those things and fill your plate with the things you like. If you've only got 24 hours in the day, why are you filling your Facebook feed? Why are you filling your conversations with the things that you're against and you're angry about? And that is consuming, and it becomes your whole day. Why not just skip over those things and fill it with the things that you love? Bali exists. Flowers, and it's a beautiful day in Phoenix. Like, there's a lot of things that you could get consumed with and just not have time to be angry. And if you're gonna, you know, run out of time and not hit everything, why not just do the things that you want to do?
Yeah, I love that. I think that is probably, that right there is my sound bite. Thank you very much. It's the key. It's the key learning right there. I was going to ask you, what did you learn? Like, what was the biggest learning for you that was unexpected?
Well, what I just said was, that's kind of the core to me. The biggest learning thing for me is, like, a fish doesn't always comprehend the water it swims in. I didn't recognize the level of freedom I have until it was taken away. Until, like, people are picking my food. At one point, they picked fried prawns that was cooked in some kind of peanut oil, and I had an allergic reaction. And then they're cooking some of this other, like, hey, what about this thing? I was like, I'm afraid to try that. Like, and it made me appreciate. And one night, I kind of went off the grid, and I ordered a hamburger. And I was like, you know, I'm going to pick, and I'm going to do this. And I wrote in my journal about, like, how amazing it is to be able to choose for yourself. And the freedom that I could just, like, go off and go on this vacation, and everybody was amazed, like, how are you paying for this? How are you paying for this? And I was like, is it that surprising? And I guess it was.
Yeah. Wow. It's yeah. I mean, there's so many different places we could go with that.
What else? When the technology company that you and I worked at,
yeah, I
traveled with them, and every single one of my trips was last minute. And
yeah,
one of the things, you know, like the day of,
right.
And people don't realize, and why I kind of knew this would be kind of a spectacle, is airlines are not jacking up the price to a destination an hour before the flight. There's about one guy who's going to walk in and say, I'd like a ticket to London. And so it becomes a competition again, because you haven't bought a ticket, you can choose any airline, and the price goes down. A walk-up fare to Bali was $1,000. I bet if I got it 6 months in advance and research, maybe I could get it down to 600. But, you know, that really isn't bad. And to be able to take a plane like a train is really nice. To just show up to the airport when you feel like it and say, all right, I'd like to go to this city. Who's leaving? Who's leaving? And then it's just so much less stressful.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, the whole thing is just amazing. So you mentioned a little bit about the tech you grabbed beforehand. Why did you not have that ahead of time? What all of a sudden clicked that made you go, oh my gosh, I should buy some extra gear?
Because at first I was just going on vacation and I wanted 200 likes on Facebook and I wanted my friends to see it. And when all that happened and the news showed up at the airport is when I realized I'm making a movie.
Gotcha. Okay.
That I didn't realize when I first, there's a clip on my Facebook where I was just driving in the car and I kind of had a theory. And I said, hey, I'm thinking about doing this thing. So tomorrow I'm going to show up at the airport, make sure you watch. And that post got shared enough that by the time I went live at the airport, like people were ready to vote. And it was at that point I realized, oh, wow, this is going to be a big deal.
Yeah. Awesome. So why did you choose what you chose? The hardware, the stuff you bought, the tech.
So I have the iPhone 7, which is amazing for shooting. I got the GoPro 5. I had to think about that for a second. Yeah, the new GoPro is amazing. And I got the Osmo, the self-balancing, just because like when I would hold my phone, it would be shaky.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted something kind of like a selfie stick, a self-balancing selfie stick, if you will, and wide-angle lens. That was it.
Wow.
Awesome. Purpose. I'm a filmmaker. I have a 360 camera. I've got all kinds of lenses and Canon gear, and I could have gone on this really heavy. And I purposely went really, really, not necessarily low tech, but low profile tech.
Yeah. Because
I have this I'm in love with the whole concept of real, actual reality TV. When it was done right in the early days of the real world, their whole premise, what happens when people start being real? And then when it got so produced, people have that kind of bad taste. But there's just something amazing about candid and like when people are genuine. And so I thought if I went really low profile, I'd be able to capture a more intimate experience.
Which is cool. And I think this is an interesting point for all of us to learn that as a critical point for us as newbies, right? Where those of us in the industry aren't filmmakers. But the thing that I get a lot is people saying, well, I don't have a lot of gear. I don't have a lot of stuff. And I think it's important. It's important for people to see and to hear a filmmaker saying, I know I'm going to make a film, but I'm going to choose not to take the big gear and the really fancy stuff. And I'm just going to go. I like that idea of low profile versus low tech.
Right. Well, it's pretty high tech. The iPhone is amazing.
Well, yeah, still high tech, but low profile.
When I realized it, I was four-wheeling with some friends, and we were going through the Rubicon Trail in Jeep Rubicons. And so I brought my drone, and I brought every camera and every piece. And on my Canon 5D, as the battery died, but some of the things that were happening were amazing, I just pulled out of my iPhone out of desperation. But when I looked back at the footage, the iPhone was self-balancing, like they took out the shake. And the microphone was incredible, that it could hear me, and it could hear the sound, and it could hear the other person. And so I've started shooting more with the iPhone on the Osmo rig, and it's incredible. Super lightweight, super low profile, like the technology is high.
Yeah. It's very cool. It's very, very cool. So before at the 8:30 mark, I like to just kind of break and let people maybe ask some questions and whatnot, throw some stuff into the chat. But before I do that real quick, what did you, when you were done with the whole journey, did you have any sort of key learning moments? Like what do you wish you would have brought with you or done differently?
Oh, I wish I brought another person because it was a lot to film everything and do everything myself. I also was like staying up at night to edit and upload something so that people had something to watch the next day. I kind of always tease that there's a difference between a vacation and a trip. Yeah. And a vacation is where you like sit at the beach and go to the spa and you chill out. And a trip is where you're like, okay, I've only got so much time to go and see everything I can. This was a trip and it was a trip with a lot of people watching. And so there was a lot of pressure. A key learning, other than how amazing it is to kind of choose for yourself and appreciating the freedom. I mean, a lot of the stuff I already knew. I wanted to share it with people. I wanted to show people how amazing the world is if you just start making excuses of why you can't and make excuses of why you can. Like, I didn't have a plan, I shouldn't have gone. I didn't have a ticket, I shouldn't have gone. I didn't have hotel reservations, but I just didn't make the list of why I shouldn't, and I just went and I did it. And I think, I don't know, I just feel like that's I mean, that's something I knew, but I almost more wanted to demonstrate that.
Yeah, show it. Don't tell us about it. Show us. Show us how you do it.
How amazing the country of Bali is. Like, I absolutely fell in love with the country and the people. It's so beautiful. And I see this a lot in Southeast Asia. These people don't have a lot, and they're just so friendly and giving. And like I said, I never locked my door. Like,
yeah, it was funny because I'll be perfectly honest and say I wasn't quite sure where Bali even was until I saw it. So I'm like, all right, there's my learning moment. I now see exactly on the map where he is. Okay, now I have some context around what he's doing and the people and the area. And yeah,
it ended up being a pretty neat commercial for Bali. Just inspiring so many people who thought, you know, I want to go and see Bali. I want to go see, you know, and it was interesting putting different kinds of posts up there to see what people really resonated with.
That's a great point too. So what was there one particular moment or one video that is overwhelmingly more popular than the others?
Yeah, you know, I wish I would have prepared better to know what those, and like, I kind of like let all that float away and haven't really like I've tried to kind of come for a bit, but the one that surprised me was the market, just how much. And then I did one on the bike ride, but just the longer format, because a lot of stuff that I had done on the internet was just really short and to the point. And you can see right now in video 3 minutes, 3 minutes. But
I love the bike ride, by the way. That was one of the ones that I actually did see.
I'll give you a little tip. One of my clients this year was Pinterest. And when I was working with them, and you know, they put this on their Facebook page so they can share, but they have computer analytics that kind of predict what people are going to like and what people are going to trend on. And one of the things that they're saying is going to be a big trend in 2017, video content, but long format video content that teaches you something. So instead of 3 minutes that entertain you, 20 minutes that teaches you something. And so I knew that going into this, and that's why I kind of tried the market thing. I'm like, let's see if this is true. And people loved it. And so that's changing my filmmaking style, if you will, where I'm just shifting into this longer format live. You know, one of the things that freaks me out about live is I'm used to editing everything to be perfect. Perfect angles, the perfect soundbite, no flipped words. And with live, you guys are seeing all of this, and I can't control it. And that feels like jumping out of an airplane. And I've just done it enough that I've made myself comfortable, or at least like I do it anyway. But that's a difficult thing from having edited, you know, for 21 years.
But it was the bike ride. I think the bike ride was fun to watch because live, you didn't know what was going to come around any corner, right? You didn't know, but we didn't know either as the viewers, and legitimately nobody knew.
I didn't know if I was going to crash. I thought if I did it would make good television. I was actually nervous as well.
I was impressed that you actually could do the no-hander on the bike. I haven't been on a bike in a while myself. I used to be great at it, but I don't know if I could do it now.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. There was a moment where I'm like, wow, it's like riding a bike. Oh, wait, literally.
It kind of is.
Yeah, I guess that's a
metaphor works perfectly right here.
Like, it comes right back to you.
Yeah, it's great. You know, and it's a great point about the long. It's interesting to hear that Pinterest has that data about the long form, because I always talk to our community about how sometimes the training and learning and development community, we're a sort of a lagging indicator. We kind of wait until the rest of the world is doing something, and then we kind of follow suit. And right now we're still stuck in that micro learning phase of everything's got to be short. Everything's got to be really short. And that's what everybody seems to be talking about. But to hear that there's analytics out there saying, you know, that some stuff should be longer, especially when it's something where you're learning, that's an important key thing to know. That's a nice piece of data.
Right. So, you know, free information for you guys out there. The other thing is viewer interaction. I guess that's the thing that you talked about, a takeaway, is people want to interact. I was amazed at the level of engagement. I was amazed at how many people shared it and how many people started to participate. And even people who just viewed, like, even if they didn't participate, like, it was amazing. When I started judging a Facebook post on the number of shares, not the number of likes. And that was a big shift for me. Like, oh, wow. Like, I didn't even notice how many people thumbed up or hearted it, but I'm like, I got 35 shares. Wow.
Yeah.
You know, because if you think about it, and I've always had this, like, a like, you know, a little bit of affirmation, like, okay, they approve, but a heart is worth so much more than a like. And so I used to say that, like, a heart is worth like 10 likes, but a share on your page is the ultimate. When somebody takes what you've done and then shares it to their page, that's the highest form of like.
Yeah, you're really, at that point, you're really saying you've got to see this. You're sending it to somebody and you're saying you've got to see this.
You know what? It's also because it says something about them. People share things to their wall, not because you're so great, but it's like, I endorse this, or I want to, you know, I want my friends, I want to be the one to introduce them to this. And so when you do something that people will endorse, and then here's what's amazing, the diversity and the spread of the people who would do it. Like, I would have some very strong, on one end, political friends share this, and then I had some in-laws who were very far on the other end that were sharing things, and I thought, wow, I've really done something right if I've got this level. If these people got into a room, they'd slug each other, and they're both sharing this. I just thought, that's what the world needs. And that's where I really started thinking about this concept of, like, maybe it would be worth it to just go around and remind people to be happy and to inspire them and to show them, come up with games and things to watch and, you know, participate.
Yeah. You know, before I forget, I saw a question go by, but I think we'd already answered it. I don't know, Tom, I don't know if you jumped in late, but you asked if he started at the airport, then went home to pack. Were you prepared to leave immediately if people chose a closer domestic location?
Yes. Because you can buy things when you get there. And so I made sure that I had socks and underwear, and that's all I needed. And, you know, I had a shirt, but I knew wherever I would land, I would buy another shirt, and I would buy shorts, and I'd buy a hat. And so I had that plan going in, and I just thought that would be more fun.
Yeah. That's the cool part to me. I think just the traveling light and just knowing that we just, you know, get your needs met when you get there.
It was an exercise in trust. Yeah. I trusted my friends were going to send me, you know, because initially when I was just kind of shopping the idea around, some of the people were like, I'm going to send you to Dubai and I'm going to drain your savings account. Ha 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 ha. And that's when I really came up with the 3 rules. There were 3 rules. Nothing illegal, because I needed to work after that. And I wasn't going to do something illegal on Facebook, and then there's the end of my career. And then nothing immoral and nothing unkind. And the last rule was my favorite, and it really set the tone for what we were trying to do. Like, this isn't schadenfreude. This isn't drama. This isn't like, you know, hey, let's watch somebody suffer. But this is the opposite. Let's do something exciting and amazing and bigger than us. And the movie Blair Witch, you can always tell when somebody watched it by asking them how they thought about it. Hey, the Blair Witch Project, what did you think? Oh, man, I thought it was scary. Well, you watched it in the first 2 weeks. Because the people who watched it in the first 2 weeks didn't realize what they were watching. And so they really got to participate in what the Blair Witch Project was. And it was exciting. Everybody who saw it later was like, it was a bunch of screaming and I didn't get it. And so I said to the people who were experiencing and following along in the journey, like, you guys are part of something that other people will look back like, but it's not as fun as when you're participating live. And that's what made me think there's a need for this, and maybe there's more content I could put out there.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think it's just such a key critical point, and I appreciate you bringing that up. That there needs to be more, you know, happiness, positivity, smiles in the world, and you know, less of the negativity.
I think sometimes that gets a bad rap. I think sometimes people think of a motivational quote or flowers or something like that. But someone told me once, he said, Mike Chesworth, you should never be unhappy. And I was like, why? Because, you know, I have good and bad days like anybody else. And he said, because you could just get in your car or get on a plane and go somewhere. And it really stuck with me. I'm like, wow, I could, and I didn't realize that that was a thing, and that was so. And so then when I did this, it's amazing. And so I guess what I'm saying is like anybody can make excuses of why they can't. I could have made all these excuses of why I couldn't have done this, but you can do almost anything if you just stop making excuses why you can't, and then just make the list of like why you can. People quit their jobs all the time to do something that's more fulfilling. People move to a location that's a better fitting for their personality. They leave partners and they find healthier friendships. Like these kind of things happen. And so just stop making the excuses of why you can't, and then just start making the list of why you can. And then take action on it. You don't always have to know. You don't always have to know. I said in the very beginning, my very first post, I said, I'm going to show up to the airport. I'm going to do this. And I predict that something amazing will happen. Because I understand universal laws and how these things work. And when you really trust everything's going to work out and you have genuine positive expectation, you don't get to know how, but you can almost guarantee it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Well, you had some moments on the trip where you had good reason to kind of wallow in self-pity and feel bad for yourself. Like when you had the peanut stuff and knowing you had the peanut allergy and, you probably weren't feeling all that good, but you carried on and you still were happy about it. And you did your thing.
Right. Well, I mean, I just took 2 Benadryl and went to sleep. But and that's something that happens. I mean, not really a lot, but when you're allergic to peanuts or like, it's not that I ate peanut brittle or something really obvious. It was, and the resort knew that I had a peanut allergy. And when I ordered the things like, okay, we won't put peanuts, but then sometimes the flour will have peanut mill in it, or they'll cook it in some kind of peanut oil. Like it's just not avoidable. And so you just carry Benadryl with you. And then when you have an attack, you take 2 of them and go to sleep. And
you wake up in the morning and all's right with the world.
You know what? Life happens. Life happens, And
I guess that's what I mean. It's like you got to roll with the punches. It's not like you're saying you're always going to be happy and that life never goes wrong. It's just how you approach it and how do you react to it. That's the most important.
I've had my heart broken. Like I've been disappointed. Like I have experienced, all the different menu items in the buffet. And then I've learned to just only fill my news feed and only fill my time with the things that I like and run out of time for some of these other things.
So what are you going to do next?
I don't know if I should let it be a surprise or if I should unveil it, but essentially I'm working on a relay race across the state of Arizona that anybody can participate in as long as they check in live.
Oh, cool.
So it literally will be like a reality show filmed by itself, if you will. And then all the people participate. You know why? Because people want to be a part of something and people want things that are true. Even our news, this whole concept of fake news, because you can't trust just because it comes from the news. You can't trust the government when it, wow, people are so used to being lied to and manipulated that I think that's one of the awesome things about live is honest.
Yeah, you can't fake live.
You can't fake it yet. Maybe one day they'll have Photoshop in real time, but I guess they have augmented reality, but live is happening right now, and especially when you can participate in it, when you let people vote. I think that's what made it really fun for them.
What would be interesting an interesting twist on your race would be to not even know who the participants are going to be, but people have to, while one person is running, they get told who the next person is they have to run to, and then they have to figure out how to get there, and they run to them, and then they hand it off, and then they go.
Wow. That's an interesting twist.
It would be interesting, because you're like 1 minute you're thinking, okay, I'm just going to keep running this way. And then all of a sudden the votes are in as to who the next person's going to be. And it turns out to be somebody that's, 3 more miles north. Oh, got to turn before you hand the baton.
I like that. That has a lot more coding and that almost needs programming that I have. I can entertain and
we know some people. We can put some together for you.
Maybe as a coder can reach out like that. That's a great idea.
It would be interesting because nobody would know, right? Nobody would know. Even the person running would be like, well, I'm running, but I have no clue where I'm going yet until they get pinged. Oh, that's the address. They put it in the GPS and that's where they have to run to.
Wow, that's super fun. You know, I just want to create kind of the next evolution of TV on your phone that's just exciting and people just want to be happy and entertained. Or how about this? Maybe they need that. Maybe this is just my assertion, but I feel like the world needs a little bit more fun.
Yeah. I would totally agree. Totally agree.
That's who I want to be. And if I'm known for anything, I would like to be known for being kind and being humble and putting myself out there. And, you know, I'm willing to do what I think would be helpful.
Yeah, where can people go to find you or to see the recordings or to follow you to make sure they don't miss the full documentary when you get done and all that?
Right. You know what? I'll tell you probably the best. And if you go there today, it's going to link to, and I'll have to preface this. But if you go to MikeChesworth.com, I'll update that, I'll refresh that, and I'll put whatever's happening. That will be the easiest way for people to find me. Of course, you can be my friend on Facebook. It's facebook.com/Mr. Chesworth. Or if you put in Mike Chesworth, I'll be the first one that pops up. Now, for those of you who go to MikeChesworth.com today, what you'll see is when I turned 35, the magical thing about being 35 is you're old enough to be president of the United States. And so I threw kind of a mock campaign for myself. And it was supposed to be a birthday party. And this is in 2013. And it turned into this whole campaign where I had a custom logo put together. We took over 7 bars for 7 parades. It's a huge ordeal. And there's a video on that page. And where that came from is starting on my 26th birthday, every time I would have a party, I would set up like a video confessional, just a camera running in an empty room, and people could go in and start recording. And so I had years of my friends like, Mike Chesworth is this. It was just like this hypo. I put something together, and it's just kind of been floating there. So that's what you'll see today. And it's kind of a fun video, but like I've been doing weird stunts like this for a while.
Yeah, I was just
and so for friends, this is completely on brand, and like, of course, you're going around the world and everybody's following. But
yeah, so if I am, I'll let everybody know that they are going to see, because I tried this out on Google just to see what happens if you just put up Mike Chesworth, and I'll have everybody know that you might need to explain the quinceañera for your dog.
Oh, okay. Here's another one. So I had this sweet little dog, and I got her when she was 3 years old. And I was just concerned that she have a nice long life and not get hit by a car and, you know, whatever. And I Googled that breed, and it said that they lived about 14, 15, 16 years. So I said to her, if you can live to be 15 years old, I will throw you a quinceañera. You know, because I'm in Arizona, and that's a big deal here. And last December, she turned 15. And so I invited all my neighbors to a party. And so while they're in the middle of the party, I kind of hijacked the party, and I had a mariachi band show up and a red carpet unroll. And while everybody's kind of like, what's going on? Right behind them, a moon bounce inflates and piñatas fall from the tree. And I hired a camera crew to film that spectacle. And you know what's kind of funny? Be careful what you put out. When I was inviting a few key friends and the camera crew, I explained it as saying, this party is so epic, it's going to end up on the Huffington Post. And it did. And I have a screenshot of that and the Huffington Post article where there's like, this is the most amazing thing we've seen. And so that's out there floating. So, you know, there's a series of these stunts, I guess, if you will.
Yeah.
Cries for attention. Hey, everybody. But it's just entertaining. Like things, I just think it would be fun.
Yeah.
And, you know, people got a kick out of it. Yeah. And it just really big.
Yeah. Well, I think it's great that you have that sensibility of, I think this would be funny. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I think we often overthink things way too much. You know, yeah. For sure. We've got a couple folks I was going to mention earlier in our
looking at the comments.
Yeah, in our chat and actually in our extended community of folks that just decided to up and sell their homes and just get RVs and decide to live their lives mobile and cruise the world as you know, at least the U.S. as much as they could, and so they can relate.
Right. I want to mention, I'm looking at the comments, and they're talking about legal concerns about filming people and stuff like that. You know, I dealt with this as a journalist, and one of the rules, or as it was explained to me when I was shooting on the news, is anything that can be seen from the sidewalk is fair game.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're shooting, like, you know, but you're on the sidewalk, and I always laugh when people say things like, you're invading my privacy. And I'm like, I'm invading your privacy with my eyes. Like, you lost it. You lost it when you went outside. Like, if I put a camera in your house and some of that, maybe you can talk to me about invasion of privacy. But if you're walking through the airport, if you're walking down the street, it's fair game.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that whole private property rule, right? You can't be on somebody's lawn filming them through their window, but you can be on the sidewalk or in the middle of the street filming them.
Right. And so I went to public places, and, you know, I put it on Facebook. And so it is an interesting legal concern. But I promise you, with the ubiquity of cameras and everybody's being filmed by security cameras everywhere, like, you've got no claim to privacy. That ship has sailed.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting point. Katie, thanks for bringing that up. That's a great question. Were there any others that cruised by, folks?
Now she's talking about going into a store. Well, that's another one, because that is private property, and a lot of stores will ask you not to film.
Yeah.
And
like normally, if you're in a shopping mall, they won't let you take pictures, and like you do selfies and stuff. But I've been in malls before with a small video camera, and I've been shut down by security.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, and, you know, I don't know, but I'll tell you, there was no malintent, and I was just, essentially, the way I thought of it is, if I had all my friends on my shoulder and I was just taking them with me, and the things that I saw with my eyes, they could see with their eyes, and it was what it was.
Yeah, I guess that's what the 21st century has in store for us legally as well. Because if you think about it, like exactly like how you just explained it, yeah, it makes perfect sense. But when the laws were all written, nobody thought you could have all your friends on your shoulder looking through a lens at your world. So,
you know, I'll tell you something else interesting. And you can really tell your friends who have traveled the world and your friends who haven't. Once you've traveled internationally, it really changes you. And one of the things that's surprising, you know, because we're the freedom country and we're known for being free, is how free you feel when you leave the United States, and how much you feel like you're checking back into security when you enter the United States. And it feels a lot like a sterilized hospital. It's safe and it's sterilized, and it's like, you know, there's a lot of restrictions, and it's not until you leave the United States that you're like, oh my gosh, like, we can do whatever you want. One of the things, and you can go back and forth, like, we're on these mopeds, and somebody made a comment about, like, what about helmets? And they didn't have helmets in the country. Like, and so there's the argument of, like, oh, that's terrible, and if you get in an accident, you know, yada, yada, yada. Okay, that's true. I never saw an accident, but you know what I saw? Tons of people without a helmet, and the wind's blowing through your hair, and I'm like, this is awesome. So there, you know.
Yeah. Sam in the chat agrees with you. I know he was just in Panama City, checking out the Panama Canal and doing some fun stuff down there. So yeah, he understands he's a traveled man.
Right. You know, and I always wanted, when I was a little kid, I wanted to be a global citizen.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to be a part of the world. And I've specifically chosen Phoenix, Arizona as a base because I think of myself as a global citizen, and I can go anywhere. And so I have clients in New York and San Francisco. And, you know, there was a time where I was flying to Singapore and London regularly. And so Phoenix makes a really good base to travel. Yeah. Whereas sometimes when you live in some of these mega cities like San Francisco and New York, you've just got to work so much that you kind of get stuck there. And I've seen articles, I've heard friends that live in places like that they kind of complain about that. Yeah. And everybody will come to you. But I don't know, that's why I like living here, and it's a beautiful day.
I was going to say, besides the fact that this is the best time of year to be here. For sure. Well, hey, you know what? We're at about 5 minutes to 9. I'm going to have to wrap this up, and I want to let you go. I could sit here and chat with you forever and catch up, but we'll have to do coffee sometime soon for sure.
I would love that. I would love that. thank you for having me on your show. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. We just started this a couple weeks ago and just decided to kick it up and give the community a place to kind of hang out together and chat about stuff. And so, yeah, it's fun. We're seeing where we can take it. So I just wanted to share your story with
friends out of this. So.
Yeah, it'll be good. Yeah, everybody go to Mike's Facebook page and become Mike's friend and know what's going on with his next
I can't always tell you what I'm going to do next, but I can almost guarantee it will be interesting to watch.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely got a track record.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't do boring.
No, kind of things.
No, it's all good. It's all good. So just tell us real quick where, give us those URLs again, or what the best way for people to find you.
You know, I think the best way at this point is just to find me on Facebook. Like, that's what I give the most attention to, and it's updated. So you can look up Mike Chesworth on Facebook. You'll see my passport picture. It's super awesome, and you'll recognize that it's me. And there's a really good chance I'll be the first one that pops up. You can also go to fb.com/Mr. Chesworth, and it will take you to my Facebook page. And my Facebook is completely unlocked. Anyone in the world can see everything I've ever done. And I'll tell you what's nice about that. It's because I don't post things on Facebook that would be inappropriate for all the world to see, as a general rule. And so when people said, oh my God, like, I don't put bad things on Facebook. I don't put negative things. I don't put super strong political things. Like, I try to keep it fairly, stuff to be proud of, I guess. If you will.
No, that's great. That's great. That's fantastic. Well, with that, I'm going to say goodbye to you, Mike, and I'll do some wrap up things with the folks here, and we'll talk about the community and whatnot. But thanks again. I really appreciate it. And we'll definitely stay in touch.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
All right, man. Take care of yourself. All right, everybody. That was Mike Chesworth. Fantastic guy, and fun to have him here in Arizona for sure. I think many of you know, I've often said, I just don't know that many people in Arizona, even close to our industry. Obviously, he's not exactly in our industry, but he does enough to, to warrant hanging out with us for sure. And a great guy all the way around. So, yeah, we'll definitely see what his next adventure is. But come on, I mean, let's just quickly in the few minutes left, like I said earlier, as we were doing this, there was a lot of different moments where I really wanted to go, oh, and that applies to learning like this. And I just didn't want to derail the conversation down that road. But what I would put out to y'all is, find those moments yourself. If you have to go back and rewatch the recording of his story and what he does, right? There's the obvious points that he made about being happy, which also ties back to TLDC 16 and our keynote presentation on happiness, right? So, does the training department own happiness, right? And those types of elements. And what Mike is talking about connects very, very, very strongly with what Allison Rossett was talking about. So, so take a look, watch the recording, rewatch the story, and just listen to it. The Pinterest data to me was amazing, and I'm definitely going to be looking into that, and I think you all should too, because that is something that we do all talk about, right? The micro learning. Marco was just in here. I don't know if Marco's still on board with us, but he's we're all kind of in the throes of, do we do micro? Do we do macro? When is one more important than the other? What does the data say, right? All that kind of stuff. So we've got the Allison Rossett keynote recorded live on TLDC.us. So you can go check out that there on the YouTube channel as well, and listen to how these two conversations link up, right? And then figure out how it applies to what we do. It's the mobile device. It is, the fact that you can use your mobile phone, a filmmaker, a guy who prides himself on quality like Mike does, and, quality and filmmaking and creating something of high value, high content value. If he is at that point where, wow, the iPhone just blew his mind, the first time he ended up being forced to use it, you know, that says a lot about where we are from a quality perspective. I know we've had the quality conversation a million times. I don't think is Anthony here to be our curmudgeon today, or no? We don't we don't have the resident curmudgeon. So we'll have to we'll have to tell him about this and have him watch the recording later. But you know, it's all of these little elements of people outside of our industry, right? The fringe folks who kind of do what we do, right? But they don't call themselves, you know, they don't associate themselves with as a training professional or as a learning and development professional. But most of these folks that I will have on this show hanging out with us as a community in TLDChat are folks that I believe do really important work in whatever they call the field that they're in, but there is always a major element of learning and training involved in what they're doing. And so if you missed any of those just little subtle things that Mike posted, you know, and you go back and you watch it and you can't quite see the connection, let me know and let's have that conversation. But I think everybody will take a little bit of something away from today's conversation with Mike and learn, you know, and see a little bit of something that you can apply. So tomorrow is going to be project day. We're going to talk projects, and Christy Conlon, who's in here still, I think, not Christy, I'm sorry, Shannon is going to be our guest. But the reason I all of a sudden saw your face on there and just wanted to give a shout out to Christy Conlon, who was at TLDC 16 as well. Thanks for hanging out with us. A new face inside TLDChat that I hadn't seen yet, so I wanted to say hi. And Toddy from Blue Bottle, thank you very much for jumping in and hanging out with us. Did I pronounce that right? I didn't even think to ask that. I hope so. Oh, I did. Yay. Okay. So yeah, so it's great. So the TLDC community is growing, and you know, more and more people are checking out what we're doing and learning from us and becoming an active part of the TLDC community, and to show us that you support what we're doing here. And please head over to tldc.us and sign up for the newsletter for us. It just gives us a gauge, you know, of how many people we have interested in what we're doing. And we will ask from time to time as well, what do you want to see from us? What's going to make this community more powerful and more effective for you? How can we help you be better at the work of training that you do? And so, so please let us know. Please reach out. You know, all of the folks that are in here, for those of you that are new, have been hanging out with me here for a while. And these are, you know, some of the best people in the industry that I know. So it's a fantastic crew to hang out with. And as we're all moving forward in our careers, it's always good to have a nice, strong network. So everybody be sure to go like and friend and connect with each other as part of this, as part of TLDC. So I'm not over the 20 minutes that I normally go, but I'm 3 minutes over. But I'll take that for today after hearing after Mike's story, which was fantastic. I was very happy to have him on board. So anyways, again, tomorrow's projects. This is TLDChat, hashtag TLDChat. Be sure to share it. Scroll down to the bottom of your screen underneath the video. There's a share button. There's or at least there should be. Share what we're doing here and invite all your friends in training to hang out with us and have a good time. And if you know somebody that you would like to see as a guest on the show, please let me know. If you'd like to be a unique guest, you guys can always let me know. You know that. And tell me something specific, and we'll have a conversation just around that, me and you, and we'll have a Q&A from the chat group as well. So you know, we do this every day, so there's a lot of time to fill, so it's all good. But we also want to give you quality content and quality information that you can take back to work and help you get better at the things that you do. So anyways, that's enough of me rambling. I love you guys. It's been fantastic. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you later. Adios.